All right, now we are going to bring to the main stage Mr. Art Obleton. So, Art, camera on. Can we spotlight you? And I'm going to stop that share so everybody can get a good look at you, Art, while we talk a little bit about your business and this idea of finding the listing. So, um, if there are any agents out there who don't know you, which I'm sure there aren't many, want to make sure that get a quick rundown of who you are, how long you've been in business, and you tell us a little bit about your transition into a listing agent.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mike. Um, Art Obleton Jr., as you just said, been in business for 8 years. I have a degree in business from Kent State. Was working, um, had a difficult time finding a really good job, very much so underemployed. So started with a spiritual journey, read my Bible, praying, and find out how to solve this problem regarding my finances, and got some divine inspiration about becoming a realtor. I was a realtor before, didn't work. So and I was a realtor from '05 to '06. And when I got the idea and impression to become a realtor again, I didn't want to do it because I failed when the market was great. And so I eventually did it, and I started working the business, getting buyer leads. I actually bought buyer leads from homes.com, Zillow, realtor.com, and I started working with buyer leads. So been in business for 6 years, for 8 years, primarily been a buyer-based business for 6 years, and decided to start really getting into working with the listings when I realized I was on the wrong side of the transaction, like in 2019, 2020, when I was getting so many multiples and being beat out. And it's like, you know what? I really have to change this. I have to change this. So yeah.
Yeah. So you see, we're gonna unpack how you made those changes and what that snowball effect has looked like. But let's kind of skip to the end of the story here. How have listings helped you grow your business, gain more leverage, and give yourself time back? Right.
Well, if I can share something real quick, like to put it in perspective, I ran some numbers for myself. And from January 1st, when I really started in January 2014, I got licensed in 13. January 1st, 2014 to December 20th, to December 31st, 2020, I had done about 212 transactions. Of those 212, not 191 of them were buyers.
Wow.
Okay. 20 and the numbers doesn't quite match up. I don't know why it's like this on MLS, but 25 were listings. So out of the 212 transactions, only 11% were listings. So from just last year, January 1st to now, I've done about 55 transactions, and 35 of them have been listings, 66% listings now.
Wow.
And this year we're at of all the transactions we've done, 70% listings this year.
Year to date, 70% listings.
Yes.
And if you've never had a listing before, anyone tuning in, listings pay Art, do they pay more or less than buy sides?
They pay more.
They pay more. Now
They pay more for less work. And like they say in business, a lot of times the hardest working are the least paid. And I have realized that. So I had to adjust, and I had to not mistake activity for accomplishment.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's I mean it's easy to be busy in this market, right? And I mean, I know we had a conversation just about how run down you can get on the buy side if that's all you're doing, right? If you're a pinball all throughout Northeast Ohio.
right. I was I mean I was excited. Of course I'm excited about real estate. And I was so excited. And it's always, I mean, it was great to go out and go show a house, and it's the activity, it's the excitement, it's the search, the helping the client. I mean, there was a time I think in 2018, I showed a house to a client, never met them, showed a house. They weren't even pre-approved, Mike. They weren't even pre-approved. I just asked them, what's your credit score, get an idea for where they stood with their credit score. And the score was high enough. I figured I can get them pre-approved. Showed them that one house. They liked the house. I called my loan officer on the way back home, connected them with the loan officer. No, I contacted the loan officer before I went to the showing. I
Mm-hmm.
told the loan officer there while there that he liked the house. By the time I got home, he had them pre-approved and said you can make an offer. Made the offer on that one house I showed them, and they got the house. That's not this market now. And it
That,
was one of the more pricier homes I sold at that point. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I
Well,
and I sold the house they moved out of because they just asked me to list it.
mhm.
So
Well, we talk about like it's important to shift ahead of the market, and I think that whether intuitively or by good fortune, or just pure exhaustion, made the switch into being a listing agent around the time that it was most valuable from a time, energy, resources, and arguably a mental health standpoint with how crazy the market has been. But so you'd make this decision, you're going to be a listing agent. That's great. We talk about mindset, we talk about manifesting things, but what was the first thing you started doing? Like, okay, I'm going to be a listing agent. What were some of the things that you rolled out or you put on your calendar or put on your to-do list rather to generate listings?
well, one thing I did is it was towards the end of 2021, and I think no, the end of 2020, and I was exhausted, and we were talking, and I think I've done like 30, 35, 38 transactions. Of course, most of them were buyers, and overwhelming majority. And you said, Art, I mean, I was actually thinking about quitting the business. I mean, this was exhausting, right? And so you said, all right, one of the main reasons you told me, one of the main reasons you're so fatigued is because you're so heavily involved in each transaction, emotionally involved, writing offers, not getting accepted, showing houses. You're so emotionally involved in each transaction. And so the mindset shift is very important. And we talked, we had a meeting, we had a lunch, and you went back and shared some things about just contact your past clients, and contact those investors. And so my coach shared the same things too. And mindset is so important because now I'm getting, even in a market like this, remember the overall majority of my transactions were buyers. So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing is going back to them and asking them, hey, do you want to list? It's a great opportunity to list. And so I'm getting those listings, and like I'm getting their listings, I'm getting their friends listings, I'm getting their investment property listings. And it's the whole mindset what I share with you. Like if you think in terms of a beige Camry, if you just say, well, you have a beige Camry or whatever, you just think about a beige Camry, you're thinking about buying one. Now all of a sudden you start seeing these beige Camrys on the road. And so you just have an eye out for that. Subconsciously you're looking for it. So there I'm having listings where people are calling me and asking me to list. And of course, I'm doing my lead generating and generate those listings too.
Mm-hmm.
But you open it up for yourself to receive those listings and get that type of business. And the thing is, do you market yourself as a buyer's agent, or do you market yourself as a listing agent? You know, and so listings take longer to develop. You have to
Mm-hmm.
work with them long. I mean, you should go on a listing appointment. They may not be ready to list their house next week. It may be 2, 3 months from now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why the buyers gave me the steady income. Buyers, and at the market I was in was faster money. But at some time you follow up, the fortunes in the follow up, you'll begin to get those listings and they'll come on the market. And listen, this market, like Jake said, is a sale.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. The fortunes and the follow up, and to snap up a buyer and to run them all over. That's a form of follow up. But to stay in touch and to keep your sellers on track for hitting a listing date is a very powerful form of follow up. I want to hit on something that you shared during our Ignite session, one of the Ignite sessions earlier this year, about how you're using data and technology to focus your lead generation on likely sellers. So tell us a little bit about how that works, how you got into that, why you consistently do it.
Okay. There's I shared on the Ignite Home Snap. And with Home Snap, you can go type in an address. You can type your own address in, and it'll show you Home Snap Pro. It is, and it'll show you three categories. If you scroll down, show you three categories: least likely to list, likely to list, or most likely to list. And so I have gotten or researched certain zip codes, and what I'm doing is I'm farming those zip codes based upon how likely those sellers are to list their home. And so we're sending postcards out to those addresses. Another thing is what we're doing is there's a powerful truth about going on vacation. Go on vacation, get out of town, you come back in town, and something better happens in your business. And so I went on a vacation and just went out of town and came back and met with Eddie Godin. Had to sit down with meeting with me, and he shared some things about me to me about offers. And what offers is it's a system where you can get this data, the names, address, phone numbers, well, maybe not the phone numbers, get the data, and it'll show you how likely these people are to list their house from a score, give a score from 70 to 100. Okay. And I give that score, and you can target them with postcards and follow-ups. And it shows you about the income you will make over a 12-month period. Now, what's so interesting is I started it, but I didn't keep that program. But what I did is I bought out of it because it's kind of expensive. I bought out of it, but I negotiated that they will give me their data. So they gave me that data with the number, with how likely those people are to list from 70, score 70 to 100 being almost certain to list their home in the next 12 months. I bought out, got the data, and then we reach out to those people. And with those, if we don't have the phone numbers, we just like, I think it was Jordan said, fastpeoplesearch.com.
Yep.
I have a system where I can do, if I get a listing in a certain street, I can look up the addresses, the names, and the phone numbers for people on that street, a couple blocks over, and so forth, and begin to circle prospect for that listing. And we could possibly sell that listing before it hits the market to the general public.
Yeah. So, who doesn't want to pick their neighbor, right? Right.
So we do that, and like you call them and say, "Hi, Miss Seller, would you like a chance to be the first one to take a look at 123 Main Street before it comes to the market?" So we do that, and so we have that. We have, and another thing I have going now is HomeBot. HomeBot is a very good tool. My mother mentioned that Sophie did a presentation on HomeBot. Oh, she mentioned HomeBot. And so what HomeBot is, I put my clients in there, all those buyers, my admin put all the buyers in HomeBot, and it sends them an email giving them the value of their home. I give the value of their home. If they're interested, they click on it. But whether they're interested or not, I'm going to follow up with them.
Yeah.
So I have one listing right now in the contract, because he called me about a couple months ago, said he's having some challenges financially. And so put him in HomeBot, and his value came out. And I called him. I said, "Hey, you're having these challenges financially. Your value, you bought the house for this much. Now, I mean, Zillow was saying that there was this much, and and I mean, Zillow isn't what we base our values on, but it's an idea. They're looking at Zillow, and so listed the house and sold it for much more than what he thought he can get for it. So he bought it for one price in 2020, and he's selling it for 62% more than what he bought it for. And he was having financial challenges. He walks away. Him and his wife are going to walk away with the funds to pay off all their debts. Of course, pay the mortgage off, and they have money that they can put in savings.
That's outstanding. I want to unpack a couple things that you talked about there, and then I want to talk a little bit about maybe a situation that we can get ourselves into based on an example that you just gave. But so, first thing that you're doing is you're tapping into mindset. You said, I got to become a listing agent. I got to start talking, walking, acting, presenting myself like a listing agent. You hit some success. You captured some listings from some past clients. Then you started to lean into and explore other tools to narrow the lead generation pool. Now, if everyone goes back and watches our conversation with Jordan Shoger about farming, the farm isn't everybody in Bedford Heights for you, right? Art, it's the people who have a 70 or higher on the offer score, or that are home snap saying are most likely to list. That way you're getting the highest return on investment on your resources, because you'd never be able to farm all of Bedford Heights, right? And why would you want to? You want, your return needs to be measured over 12 months, not 12 years. And then when you get one listing, you try and turn it into a double-sided deal or more listings, right? So often, and not naming names, not calling anybody out, but so often agents grab a listing and they're spending the check because they know it's going to be off the market soon and they're good to go. And we've got a whole segment at the end of the month with Larry Wonky about maximizing that listing, or excuse me, next week with Debbie Garson about maximizing that listing while you have it, to get the social credibility of being a listing agent and generating more listings. So that's terrific. Now let's go with this example that you just gave. Individual buys their house 2020, sells it for a 62% gain. I am not a tax professional. I don't believe that you are either, but any astute seller is going to be concerned, like, hey, have I been in my primary residence long enough? Am I going to get dinged with capital gains taxes? Like, what's going to happen here? How do you navigate that? Where do you send people? What's the resource that, if I sold somebody a home last year and it's worth 25% more this year, how do I help them sell it?
Well, I'm not a tax professional. My parents had a tax service business. They wanted me to get into business. For whatever reason, I wasn't too thrilled about the business. I told my father once, I said, well, my parents also they were insurance agents too. And so I just told him recently, I said, Dad, you and Mom had businesses that a lot of people didn't want to talk about, taxes and insurance. I mean, real estate is a happy industry, is a happy bit. Everybody likes real estate, knows something about real estate, think they know something about real estate. Everybody just talks real estate. So it's fun. So this client, and I've done it for more than one, but this one's a perfect example. He bought his house in June of 2020, like June 10th, 2020. Like I said, he had challenges. And so I'll come back, list the house, sell the house, and it's going to close. And after he signed the listing documents, after he signed accept the offer, him and his wife, I went in my car and said, oh man, where did he buy this house? I looked it up on the county auditor site. Bought it June 10th, and he's going to close June 29th of this year. And I said, that's perfect, because he owned the house as a primary residence for the last 2 years. Out of the last 5 years prior to selling, he does not owe capital gains tax on those funds. It's a tax exemption. So for someone who sells their primary residence, a single person who sells their primary residence, they're tax exempt up to $250,000 on those gains from their house, and up to $500,000 if there's a married couple. So, and there's an article on that, and I send the article so they see it from professionals. And so, and Carrie just dropped it in the chat. So I send that to him, and I have another client that's coming up, and you see, he kind of knew about it, and I just clarified it for him. But so what I'm doing also is, anyone who sold before, say about earlier 2020, before now of 20, before like in early part of 2020 and before, I'm calling them back and telling them about this tax rule and tell them this is an opportunity. Would you like to sit down and discuss the opportunity you have with your house? Now, some people will say, well, who will move in 2 years and why would somebody do that? Well, you know what? There are different situations with different people. I never knew this guy would have a challenge with his finances, and it was a perfect situation for him, you know. And somebody can go from a point where they're may want to take advantage of the market. I mean, we've had the best gains in the history of real estate market, in the history of real estate on record, you know. So we had those gains. So there's a great opportunity for somebody to take advantage of that. I mean, I have done it twice. I mean, it's ideal. I mean, single person, no kids. You just you. You can make a decision to move if you like. If the
Yeah.
gains are there, if it makes sense. I've done it twice, and I've used it to upgrade my community, my house. And I mean, everybody has to start somewhere. So it's an opportunity to take advantage of it. And like I met my CPA last year, he said, you don't owe taxes on this money. He confirmed it too.
Amazing. So everybody who's listening, let's say you've got dozens of you've been in the industry for a few years, and you've got a dozen or more people that you sold a house to sometime in 2019 or 2020. The opportunity here is to go and say, hey, did you know that if you sell your home because it's been your primary residence and da 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 da, no capital gains taxes, great opportunity, as Art said, upgrade your community, upgrade, you know, buy a bigger house, buy a different house, whatever you like. So that you know, there's one. I would say anybody who bought in, you know, there's also an interesting. We don't expect home values to go down in the next 12 months. They will start to level off in the front half of next year, right? But we don't, the supply and demand equation is not going to allow home prices to come down, despite, you know, it's unlikely that it would, despite an economic cataclysm. They're not going to. So I would also say, who are all the people who bought in the, you know, from July to December in 2020? Those are the folks to start having the conversation with to buoy your listing inventory for Q3 and Q4, right? Hey, did you know that you'll be in your house 2 years and a day on September 3rd? Would you consider selling? I'll go a step further, Art. Let's say that you wanted to start working in a community. You're like, hey, I've always wanted to sell, you know, Cuyahoga Falls, and I haven't been able to break in. Could you go on the county auditor's website? Could you find out who bought their house 2 years ago in a day?
Absolutely. You can, and I share this in the night. You can go in the MLS, look at the past sales, find out, make sure those say if you go back 5 years or longer, or like you said, 2.5 years, and look up the past sales and give them a call. And hi, Mike, Art here with Keller Williams. Just want to give you a call, letting you know that I see you bought your house in 2018 for a certain amount, and now the value is about so much. Would you like an opportunity to sit down and discuss your home? And so and these are Zillow values I'm giving you, but I can show you comps, real value, and show you the net sheets, and show you what I can do to this other house. And you get to their house, and you're in the door, and then you can begin to unpack some things about how it can help them, the market, you know, the market itself, the low inventory, the low interest rates. The low rates are still low. And then you talk to them about, you tell them about the tax law. And a lot of these people are living in a bank, but they don't know it. Or they're in a bank, but they don't know how much is in the safe. You know, and you have to share this with them. I'm not trying to push them to sell their house and just get out their house to make $1. But no, there's some things, and people have different situations, and they can take advantage of a $90, $100, $110,000, $120,000 net check that's tax free, and they say, you know what? I was thinking about moving to Florida all along.
Yeah.
Example. Sold a lady a house in 2016 in Richmond Heights for $125,000. She did some upgrades, not much, kept the same dated cabinet, same dated bathroom. Lady sold it just last year for $245,000 and walked away with a net check over $100,000 moved to Atlanta where my sister was a realtor. So, you know, so it's just and of course we all know that's tax-free money, you know.
Yep.
And so people want the help and we have to figure out how to help them in a way that they just present it to them. If you just present it to them and say, you know what, there's a way we can pull this deal off. And they start thinking themselves as to how to get it done.
Yeah, and I think this ties so well back into what you said initially. Sometimes, as you know, we underestimate what we know or how much we know, or we and that doesn't show up as like, oh, I don't know anything, I'm dumb. We assume that everybody knows what we know,
Mhm.
right? And you said that people are living in a bank and they don't know it. I mean, the appreciation that we've seen here in Northeast Ohio is absolutely uncharacteristic for the area over the entire span of our existence. If we were in Portland, Oregon, or in Sacramento, $100,000 gain in your property value over the course of 18 months is kind of expected. It's the only way you can keep up with the taxes, right? But here, no one, so many of our buyers or previous buyers or potential sellers would ever think that there's a check coming for a home in Richmond Heights that I've only owned for 5 years, right?
Right.
So I think don't assume that your clients know everything. Don't assume that you don't have the answers or that you can't find the solution. And I love what you said. You show up with comps, you show up with a net sheet, and you show up with how you're going to get it done. That's amazing. Art, last question for you. Bring it home. Biggest lesson learned as you are a listing agent, right? 70% of your deals this year, and 66% of the last 18 months are listings. What are your biggest lessons learned? Like, what are your takeaways on, hey, if I would have started this sooner, my God, I'd be 100% listing agent.
Well, when I begin to list homes, well, as we know, as buyer's agents, that the phone rings a lot. When I begin to list homes and start seeing and start getting into listing, it's like when it first started, like, hold on, I was in my office, like, my phone's not ringing. What's going on? And so it dawned on me, hey, I have listings now. And so with me having listings, I have more time to leverage myself. So I thought the last thing for me to start a team was being able to have confidence in a listing agent. So started a team, and kudos to Bernadette, who allows me to works with the buyers, and she's becoming more listing focused. She works with the buyers, so it allows me to focus on listings. What you focus on will expand. And so now it gives me time to start the team to help her, to help other agents, to do more to help structure things, opposed to just doing another transaction, looking to run another buyer, looking to run another transaction. So it allows me to step back and begin to think about the business and begin to do the business and from a managerial perspective, opposed to just doing more transactions. So the leverage to give me my time back to do more business.
Leverage is something that we talk about a lot as an organization, and we teach it. What is it like when it really hits? Like, what is it? How does it feel? Try and describe. You've built a great business and you're doing the things that you love, spending time with people and helping people. But like, how does the leverage feel in the moment?
Freedom. One word, freedom. Yeah. Freedom. A lot less stress. You get the listing, it's going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't want to be an order taker on a listing appointment, but I never forget Jermaine Brooks shared something once, and he was very important me becoming a listing agent, because he said something once. He said, "Why would I go around with buyers when I can just get listings, and I can get listings?" And he said something. Even if a seller wants to overprice a house, okay, Mr. Seller, we'll agree to this price, but here's sign, I forget, the price reduction form or price improvement form that in 14 days we'll reduce it to this amount. And so this way, he doesn't even have to call them or follow up with them. If it's not sold, well, and that was in that market 14 days, but if it's not sold, then the price automatically reduces, you know? So just, I mean, because you're going to put in an MLS and change it with
Yeah.
already signed. And so helping, doing that and being around people who have bigger businesses and sharing and getting ideas from them and learning from them, you know, it just helps me grow to become more listing focused, a listing based business, so I can teach other agents, the agents on my team to be more listing oriented.
I love it. Now, Art, I also know that you are you're a great teacher and you help a lot of folks on your team and just throughout our company and truly throughout the real estate industry in Northeast Ohio. If somebody was compelled to spend some time with you, buy you a cup of coffee and pick your brain on this stuff, how would they reach you? How would they get in touch with you?
They could email me on artobletonjr@gmail. You can email me. We have they can go on our website, the AO Group homes.com. So Facebook, I can put my phone number, send me a text, 216-482-9035, 216-482-9035. So, okay.
All right, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, as always, Art, for being willing to step to the front of the room, tell your story, teach others, and help us all build bigger businesses. I want to really strongly encourage everyone to take Art up on. Sorry, Art, I'm going to gobble up all your time here, man, but take advantage of this. I know I see several people on the call who I know have spent time with Art that he's helped either with listing presentations or contracts or just that ever so important mindset. So Art, you're a great example of our culture and everything that we do for each other and for our clients, and really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be a part of Market Center. Market Center doesn't have to help me grow my business, but it helped actually improve my life too. So I'm very appreciative of that too. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, gang, we ran a little long, but I know it was worth it. Have an awesome week. Go exercise, commitment, and all things. And we will see you tomorrow if you're joining us for the Investor Mastermind. If not, next week with Debbie Garson on how to maximize the listing. Thanks again, Art.